This is the Recover with God podcast, where we talk about recovery from eating disorders, disordered eating, diet culture, body image, weight struggles, overexercising, and anything related to food and body that keeps you feeling trapped. The enemy wants to distract us with these struggles, and that is why recovery with God is so important. This podcast will point you to God and the hope and freedom we have through Jesus, whether you're here for your own recovery or you want to help someone you know. So let's dive in and hear what God has to say through this episode of the Recover with God podcast. Hey friends, it's Jayme, host of the Recover with God podcast. I'm grateful you tuned in today, not for my sake, but for yours, because today I'm talking about a topic I'm really positive will resonate with you. How do I know? Well, two reasons. One, it's something I personally struggled with during my own eating disorder recovery process. And two, many of the people who reach out to me ask questions that all go back to this one roadblock: failure. And I don't mean a fear of failure, which is also an issue, but I mean how we wrongly define failure and let that wrong belief hinder our progress. Let me give you an example from my own recovery experience. For years, I approached recovery with an all or nothing mindset. I believed that even one small slip up equaled complete and utter failure, and all of my progress was ruined, and I had to start all over again. But stopping my eating disorder behaviors cold turkey felt impossible, so I stopped even trying to recover because what was the point? A major turning point in my recovery happened when I learned and started applying the truth that the recovery process includes ups and downs, steps forward and steps back. And what felt like a setback wasn't actually failure. It was an opportunity to evaluate, to pray about it, and invite God in. Lean on His strength, learn from the experience, and try again. The only failure was in not trying at all or completely giving up. And I want to emphasize here that the key is focusing on God's truth, God's idea of failure, not yours, and God's ability to help you back up when you inevitably stumble, because you will. Proverbs 24:16 in ERV is pretty clear about what failure looks like. It reads, "Good people might fall again and again, but they always get up. It is the wicked who are defeated by their troubles." Good people, in this case, are people who believe and trust in God. Wicked people are those who don't know God, and I hope and pray that you do know God and are willing to put your full trust in Him for recovery, for true recovery. I also understand that you might be past this point. You might be listening now thinking, well, I've stopped the ED behaviors. My body is healing, but my mind just does not feel recovered. My mind still thinks ED thoughts every single day. And if the ED thoughts make you feel like a failure, I want you to hear this right now. You are not a failure. You are not failing. Battling an eating disorder is just as much mental as it is physical, and the mental healing will likely take longer. It's not failure, it's part of the process. Thoughts don't equal failure. If they did, we'd all be failing at life right and left. The truth is, you can't control every thought that pops into your head. You can control how long you let it linger and whether or not you choose to act on it. Take your thoughts captive. 2 Corinthians 10:5, the NLV version, tells us how to do that. We break down every thought and proud thing that puts itself up against the wisdom of God. We take hold of every thought and make it obey Christ. Notice this verse doesn't say, oh, you better stop the thoughts before you even think them. As long as we live in these human bodies, our minds won't be perfect. Yes, we can surround ourselves with more of God's truth and more people who point us to that truth, and that can have an impact on our overall thought patterns. But we can't keep every single negative or wrong thought from seeping in. It will happen. And when it does, this verse says to break each thought down, be aware, be intentional, evaluate it, compare it to the wisdom of the Bible. Then be honest with yourself and decide whether the thought is true or a lie. If it is a lie, we take hold of it, as the rest of the verse instructs. We stop the thought and we make it obey Christ, which means we basically tell that thought, nope, nope, you don't belong here, and we replace it with the truth. And maybe you've already tried this and it hasn't worked for you. And if that's been your experience, I want you to hear this. Taking your thoughts captive is not a one and done choice. It's something you'll need to do over and over and over again. I know it's easy to feel like a failure when you think you didn't get it right the first time and you have to do it again. Why didn't it stick? But that's another lie of the devil. He wants you to feel like a failure. Remember that. The truth is, God tells us that taking our thoughts captive, stopping the thoughts that aren't rooted in truth, and changing our mindset is a lifelong process. In Luke 9:23 in the NLT version, Jesus spoke to a crowd and he told them, "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross daily, and follow me." For me, one of the key words here is daily. Jesus isn't saying, "Hey, you only have to do this once and you'll be good to go." No, he is saying it is a daily, ongoing choice. Every day, we have to first recognize what is keeping us from obeying God, and then choose to say no to the lies and destructive thoughts, give them up, turn away, and follow Jesus. Yes, it is a sacrifice. It will be hard and frustrating. You will mess up. You will. And you might even feel like giving up. But those feelings are not failure. They just mean you need Jesus. And guess what? It's okay to need Jesus every single day. In fact, it's vital for you to need Jesus every day. God even convicted me of this recently. He popped this question into my head and it hit me like a brick wall. He said, "Why do you live like the goal is to not need me?" Whoa, whoa, wow. I do live like that. Yeah. So I've been learning to give myself more grace when I do need God, and then actually lean into Him for help with all sorts of things in my life. Back to my original point, if you are struggling mentally right now about food, your body, appearance, all of it, don't give up. Don't listen when the enemy tells you that the thoughts will never go away and you're a massive failure for letting them even get into your head. Do not listen. While it's true that taking our thoughts captive is a lifelong process, it does get easier. The more you take specific thoughts captive and change your mindset in that area, the less you will eventually hear those thoughts in your head. But it takes time. Allow yourself that time. Don't expect it to happen overnight, or in a week, or a month. It could even take longer than a year. But it will get easier. And that leads me to my last encouragement about failure. You are not a failure if you think recovery or removing yourself from diet culture is taking too long. There is no set timeline. You are not competing with anyone else. Recovery doesn't have a one-size-fits-all plan. Setting goals can be helpful, but do not let your own human goals hinder you from progress when things don't go according to your plan. One of my go-to verses of the Bible is Proverbs 16:9, and I like the NLT version, which reads, "People can plan what they want to do, but it is the Lord who guides their steps." For me, this is a reminder that it's okay to plan and set goals, but always bring God into it. Giving God our plans and our goals and being okay if things turn out differently is a test in letting go. If recovery feels too slow and you think you're doing it wrong, keep giving your hopes and dreams and goals and plans to God. Pray about it. Tell God that you trust His timing and His timeline, not your own. Our human selves want quick fixes, but a quick fix in recovery is not likely to stick. God knows exactly what you need to go through and experience for your recovery to be complete and give you lasting freedom. Trust the process. Trust His process. So let's recap. I don't know where you are on this journey of recovery and freedom right now, but I have a feeling you can relate to these feelings of failure, right? If you think you're failing because you lack the willpower to quit your eating disorder or dieting today, you're not failing. If you think you're failing because the food noise hasn't gone away yet, or you still have bad body image days, you're not failing. If you think you're failing because you expected to recover faster, or you're feeling discouraged because it's taking so long, you're not failing. After listening to this, I hope and I pray that you will take every thought of failure to God. Tell Him how you're feeling. Ask Him to help you see the truth, that failure is a lie that keeps you stuck. Failure is not slow progress. Failure is not continuing to battle the enemy's attacks. Those are part of the process. You are still in the fight. The only failure would be to stop altogether. So keep going, friend. I am cheering for you. Hey there, it's Jayme again, and you made it to the end of this episode of the Recover with God podcast. I pray that God is speaking to your heart right now and that you go on with your day feeling less alone. If you haven't already, I hope you hit that follow button to subscribe and receive notifications for future episodes. And did you know that if you leave a quick rating or review, you can help more people find this podcast too? God designed us for community, so follow along and help others do the same to feel less alone together. I hope you tune in next time, and until then, you can always catch up on any past podcasts you might have missed. P.S. I'm cheering for you.